Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus was teaching in a synagogue on the Sabbath, and a woman was there who for 18 years had been crippled by a spirit. She was bent over, completely incapable of standing erect. When Jesus saw her, he called out to her and said, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." He laid his hand on her, and she at once stood up straight and glorified God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant that Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, said to the crowd in reply, "There are 6 days when work should be done. Come on those days to be cured, not on the Sabbath day." The Lord said to him in reply, "Hypocrites! Do not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his ass from the manger and lead it out for watering. This daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for 18 years now, ought she not to have been set free on the Sabbath day from this bondage?" When he had said this, all his adversaries were humiliated, and the whole crowd rejoiced at the splendid deeds done by him. The Gospel of the Lord. St. Paul talks about living according to the flesh. What is that? As opposed to living in the Spirit. A person who's living in the flesh, they're mostly about my physical and my emotional needs, and probably my economic needs. I'm concerned with all the things that wrap around me physically, and that's pretty much my priority in life. There's no room for allowing God in, or there may be a little bit there. And so the flesh is that part of us that we attend to only our material needs, and we find the focus of our life there. St. Augustine, in commenting on this gospel passage, he said that this woman is symbolic of those who have their hearts set on things of the world, the flesh. She's bent over and incapable of looking up to heaven. She can only see the terrain under her. All she can see is what her feet are standing on, because she has been focused on that, and the scriptures imply that a demon has done this to her for 18 years, which means there probably was some kind of sin or fixation about the sole material possessions of her life. It reminds me of the way we're hunched over looking at our screens on our devices, always obsessed with these things, and more concerned with what we're seeing on social media than what we could be concerned about if we only looked to heaven, to contemplate the beauty of a God who calls us his dear children, who wants to raise us up as children for heaven. Instead, we become caught in a posture of looking down. and even experience the temptations, great temptations of sin through our devices that compel us to see only the world instead of the vision of what is to come. The church itself, this building, is a great pictorial revelation of where things are going. I don't want to say this too loud, but if you get bored during a homily, look up there and see the artwork that visualizes heaven for you. If the homily is boring, that's my fault, not yours. On the other hand, this church has all kinds of artwork here to reveal to us these things, but it also speaks of a church that reveals to us things, especially in sacrament, especially in the sacrament of the Eucharist. The closer we get to God, the more infilled we get by the Holy Spirit, the more we begin to treasure the Holy Eucharist and to respect it and treat the Eucharist carefully. That is a great measure of how our spiritual life is growing. Am I experiencing some kind of fright because I'm afraid something might be holding me back from Jesus? That's good. Then we look to the heavens and we stand erect in a posture to see God. Perhaps we might need the sacrament of reconciliation to adjust our spiritual posture as well, so that our minds and our hearts can be raised to see heaven above, to realize more and more that Jesus died on the cross to save us. And as he says in the Gospel of John, I have come not to condemn the world, but to save it. For God so loved the world, he gave his only Son. And so Jesus says to this woman that she's healed. That word comes to her. It makes her alive. It's the word and the breath of the Holy Spirit now animating her and causing her to stop looking down and downcast and looking to the heavens, where the God of gods and the King of kings can affirm her as his precious daughter or a precious son, to share a life of glory in heaven.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.